All right. The leading train peels in. 7 minutes to go. So if they average about 3 minutes for the outlap, this is going to be it for these drivers coming into the pits now. The question is, will any of them wait? And then again, given the way the track has not cooled down in this session so far, I would suspect they'll press on. And indeed, the first car is heading out. Looks like Dylan Rudd, I think, going to lead the charge. No, pardon me, not quite. It will be Jared Filso who gets out in the front first to get the Doing OK by Lobs esports drivers ahead nice and early. So Filso from Gilliam from Rudd. Dylan O'Shea able to pop out in fourth in the queue for now, but he's got Griffin Gardner behind. I would suspect we'll see drivers like Luca Rosella, who's a little further back in the group, and James Scott in behind him too. Probably get to the front to make it all 5 of the Lobs cars there working together in this session once more.
We're almost at the time where you really need to make it count. If you've made a bit of a meal of qualifying so far, just under 6 minutes to go, you know, the pressure's on to get this lap in, because you don't want to leave it to that last chance. You know, you don't know how you're going to be situated as far as a draft. So given that there's a little bit of time up their sleeve, by the time they come round, it's going to be 3 minutes to go. So, and you don't want to make that second push on tyres like we touched on with the track temperatures. You're not really going to optimise any of that out of yourself. So these guys now know that if they haven't done a good job, they really need to get it done now.
Yeah, indeed. I think, Sam, this is going to be the final one for everyone, with these drivers taking, this outlap looks to be taking a little bit less time than the previous one, but nevertheless, what this will mean is that the drivers, the outlap is faster, I think, on this particular occasion. I mean, James Scott's powered through up to join his teammates here. But you've also got Jake Burton, who's looking to make a bit of a run towards the front of the group, and he decides he will slot in there. So looking to see who can make the most of this one here tonight. And Burton's actually going for it now. He's decided, I'm not going to let anyone have a toe off of me. I'm going to go now. The biggest question is, he's in 18th, 48.0, just over, or just under 6/10, pardon me, behind our provisional play seat pole time at the moment in the hands of James Scott. So can he go faster? No, actually he's going to abort. Now, he does have time to do this. Is this a question of now trying to, see if he can trigger a response from other drivers? But, for example, the Lobs cars, they're winding up and appear to be committing. And so I think they're going to go now and make this their final run in the session.
It was interesting. I thought he was going to make a run by himself, being that far down in the grid, and just take that gamble as far as doing a run without the draft. But he's obviously got a different play set in his mind. He's gone to the lane, got on some new tyres, and make that last-minute charge.
All right, let's watch them head on down towards turn number 1 here. Currently looking at Ethan Grid-Gold, who's made his way up to 4th in the results so far. Currently tucked up behind Adam Briggs as well, who's down in 12th. The gap between them in terms of lap time in this session, just over 0.3 of a second. So hopefully that's not going to be too much of an impediment to him. It looks like O'Shea's given up on this one. So the number 19, 9.5 Smith Racing has to bail out now. As a result, he's just all off the track, waiting for some time where he can get back on. Another Synergy Sim Racing car in the background has aborted, it seems, through the Roger chicane there. Continue to watch the driver at the front, working the Exeter Lesmo 2. Run most of that curve there, Sandman, but that's an easy one to get sucked into pushing too hard and running wide, and then validating your lap if you get it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely, and credit to him. He got out of the way. He knew that his lap had sort of gone south for the winter. So, but as best the job that he did, you know, sometimes it can be distracting for the drivers when you see a car just dart off and they're through the grass. Obviously, he's trying to do the absolute right thing by everyone, but can be a bit distracting. But you take that over someone holding you up any day. So, kudos to him and everyone else who does their best to get out of the way when things don't go right. But We approach with 2 minutes 20 to go in qualifying. Oh, big sideways run there. Ethan Quickgold gets drilled, absolutely drilled in the door. Now he's a sitting duck. Everyone's going to be coming around that last corner. This is going to be chaos. They've had to abort. They've done the best thing that they could. Just get out of the way quick, smart. But that definitely made it tricky. Oh, and seen some more contact in the pit lane as well. So things really heating up here as we hit with 2 minutes to go. But unfortunately, just got sideways and got absolutely drilled in the door.
Oh man, I actually missed that one there. He's gone back to the pits from the middle of the circuit, so that's going to be important as well, because technically that'll be a procedural breach for escaping without permission. The question is, will that be excused in circumstances or not, or will they have to hold hard on the rule? He's not going back out, so I believe he's going to sit tight on that one there. So let's have a look at it here on the OG Gear replay. And unfortunately, unforced, just in behind Adam Briggs, the rear steps out the Parabolica. And then, as you said, it's Joe Stewart who comes along in the 35 machine. And yeah, a complete broadside angle there. A couple of cars. He's in full, trying to commit to a lap. Is on the outside. Actually, looks like he comes back to the pit lane. Is there going to be an issue here, perhaps, on pit entry? That looks like there might be an issue there. Unfortunately, we've lost it behind the pit wall.
I know we have that no escape rule, but I know exactly, I don't know 100%, but I imagine that he just got out of there quick smart because he knew he was right in the middle of the racetrack, coming around the last corner. I guess he just wanted to do his best to get out of there and not ruin everyone else's lap. So I can see why he did it. I guess we'll just leave that up to the stewards. He didn't do it for an advantage. He just did it to get out of the way.
Yeah, he did. I think hopefully that will be... Pardon me, also just looking into the background here, but yeah, be curious to see what the decision is with that one there as we watch a few more drivers make their way into the pits here at the end of the session with 15 seconds left. There's some drivers coming around the last turns here. Only a handful, if any of them are on a lap, are going to get in, but everyone's coming into the pit. So that will just about do it. Oh, sorry, one person through. Teo Sorono's gone through. Now, according to my timing, he is starting a flyer. So we've got ourselves one driver left who might be able to improve. Currently 18th, and he's in hot to turn one. And that will unfortunately do it for him right off the bat, I think.
Yeah, he might try and push on just to try and save whatever he can. But yeah, unfortunately, it would have compromised his lap a little bit. Dylan O'Shea on screen. I think he might be coming to the end. He'll be heading to pit lane here. So looks like... Oh, he's going on with it. So it looks like the field may be set. It had a little bit of everything, didn't it? There was obviously everyone's playing the draft game. We saw that drama and the spin there as well, but thankfully most everyone got away with it, and that was our qualifying session for Monza. And yeah, that had a little bit of everything. Didn't disappoint.
No, it certainly did not indeed. Be looking to see how it all shakes down. But we're going to chat to a couple of the drivers as part of the Games and Grid walk as always. But let's walk you through the grid in full here as well. And your place seat pole position going to go to Dylan Rudd in the 990 for doing okay by Lobs Esports there. Just 35 thousandths of a second in it there to James Scott, sharing the front row with him there tonight. So certainly competitive at the front of the field once again, as we often see amongst the Lobs Esports drivers. On our second row, actually relying on the overlays here, which means unfortunately I'm waiting to see who we've got. It'll be Jared Filson, my apologies there, in the 94 machine, who will settle into third place. Less than a tenth of a second covering the top three here. So Rick Kuznetsov putting the 888 on that second row as well. That's a good return to form there for on his return to the 95 SimSport stable as well, I should add. Griffin Gardner makes it P5 in the number 93 machine. He'll be sharing that third row with the first of Evolution Racing team cars in the form of Ethan Griggolt there in the number 7. Behind him on our fourth row tonight will be Dylan O'Shea after that early flyer that got him into provisional pole position. He'll have to settle for 7th place here tonight with Andrew Gilliam alongside in the next of our Doing Okay Blobs Esports machines, a 201 out of 8th place for this one here tonight. And then Luke Rosella in the one Lobs Esports car that's coloured a little differently in this one here. Going to be 9th place there, and a quarter of a second off is all it is, with Madison Down going to round out your top 10 in the number 1 Trans-Tasman Racing Commodore.
We go through the rest of the field. It's Marcelo Rivera. He's in 11th place over Adam Briggs in 12th. It's so incredibly close throughout these times, but it's what we expect around this racetrack. They're making the most of the draft, and when you see that the top 3 are covered by less than a tenth of a second, that just goes to show you how crucial that draft is. It's really going to put on some good racing, and at the end of the day, you're going to see how crucial it is as far as, those leaders maybe getting away from each other and, separating this field. We go back to 13th and 14th. It's Wayne Burke, Synergy Sim Racing, and Jordan Ross back there in 14th place on the grid. In 15th, Forzen El Nabi. And in 16th, a little bit further back, is Brady Myers. 17th, we've got Job Stewart. And 18th, Teos Herrera. So, obviously not ideal for these guys, and a little bit further back and than they'd all like. And that goes for Jake Burton too, 19th, and Brenton Hobson rounding out your top 20 so far. So, these guys will be pushing on and making the most of this race as far as the laps go. They've got plenty of time to get the job done. Jacob O'Reilly in 21st and Josh Anderson in 22nd. Jake Maloney in another Trans-Tasman Mustang back in 23rd, and Andre Youssef in 24th place. Hayden Veld in 25th and Scott Gamble in 26th. And in 27th, Sean McNamara and Damien Johnston in 28th place for Synergy Sim Racing. Another Synergy Sim racer in Tom Freer back in 29th, and in 30th, it's Blake Warboys. We go through the field. Matthew Bowler in 31st, Michael Taliancic in 32nd. Luke Mitchelson in 33rd, Brady Baldwin back in 34th. These guys will have their work cut out for them at the start. It'll be quite the bottleneck going into that chicane, with Robert Gibbs in 35th and Tyson Broad in 36th place. 37th, Ian Ford, a little bit further back than we'd expect to see from 40, and Michael Whiting in 38th place. And in 39th, pulling up the rear, Kurt Stenberg. He'll have an incredible show running into that first chicane. I no doubt he'll be taking it pretty easy as far as that first run into that chicane, because it can be quite the bottleneck as we go to the Gamesman grid walk. And we're going to start going through and finding our drivers as they prepare for this round number 7 here at Monza. So the first of our drivers to join us for the Gamesman grid walk is Dylan Rudd. Dylan, congratulations, mate. Pole position. How did you feel for that quali session, mate?
Yeah, just worked. All us Lobs guys just worked together at the front just to try and get an ideal toe lap in, and yeah, managed to snag a good lap at the end there to put me on pole position.
It's hold your breath stuff with quali, isn't it, mate? The top 3, you 3 guys, less than a tenth in it. Absolutely unreal. It's you guys looked like you got yourself sorted, had a little bit of a toe partner there with the team, and that worked out nicely for you in quali.
Yeah, it did. The times are obviously super close throughout the whole field, so yeah, toe was necessary to put me up the front somewhere.
How do you approach the start, mate? It's obviously a bit of a run into that first chicane. Your thoughts on that? Obviously, you're in the best position possible because you get to lead and you don't have to worry about too much of a bottleneck. And it helps to have a couple of teammates that that probably aren't going to do something silly to dive up the inside.
Yeah, so obviously getting a good clean start would be the first thing to do. And yeah, obviously having James and Jared behind me, I don't really have to worry about anything silly happening. So yeah, which is a good thing.
Right, Dylan, we'll let you focus. Get ready for the start of this race. Thanks for having the chat. Good luck at the race. Hopefully we're talking to you at the end of the night.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dylan. There's Dylan in the Doing OK Commodore. And we go a little bit further down the grid in 5th position. We're going to walk up and have a chat to Griffin Gardner. Griffin, mate, P5, that's not too bad. You don't want to be too far back in this field when that barrel into that first chicane. So I guess you'd be pretty happy, especially with a couple of teammates up in front too.
Yeah, it's definitely a good result. It's good to have a lot of the teammates up here as well, so hopefully work together off the start here.
How nerve-wracking was qualifying for you, mate? Because we talked about how crucial the draft can be. Absolutely nothing in it for the top 3. That obviously makes life a little bit easier when you've got someone, and especially teammates, to draft with. But was that something that played on your mind coming into qualifying?
Yeah, first lap I got a slowdown, so I was kind of recovering from there and did a good lap on my last, so recovered. But it's definitely stressful. The margins are so tight around here, and track limits is a big issue as well. So it's definitely hard to get a good lap in.
And a long race round here, mate. How are you prepping yourself? You're just going to take it easy at the start? You got a little bit of a game plan, or you just want to see how the race plays out for you?
I think we'll just see how we get off the line, if I can actually do it this time. And hopefully just settle in and have a good race and not do what we did last time.
Right, all the best, mate. Make up for that start for the last round. And, mate, you've got a couple of teammates there. Tag on the back of them. Make it look easy and run away, hey? Grab the win.
Yeah, I hope so. Cheers, Simon.
All the best, mate. We'll let you get ready for the race. That's Griffin Gardner. And we're going to chase down and go back a little bit further down the grid and find Forzen El Nabi. Forzen, congratulations, mate. You've made the grid. You're in the middle, not P1, but plenty to work with as this race goes on, starting out at P15.
Yeah, it's not the best qualifying, unfortunately, but we've got a long race ahead of us, so we'll just go try have some fun and see what happens. There's a lot of opportunity to fuel save around here, so there's always chances to get up the grid, that's for sure.
Now, a mindset as far as how this is going to play out. Obviously, long race, there's a lot can happen. How are your concerns going into that first chicane? Obviously, it turns into a little bit of a bottleneck. Obviously, everyone's got everyone's excited about getting the race started. Do you find yourself worried about that first chicane?
Yeah, for sure. It could make or break your race, I reckon. So we've all got to try and get through there cleanly. We've got 4 of our SSR guys together, so we'll try and keep each other safe. And I reckon once we get through that turn 1, turn 2, we should be good.
How was prep coming into this round, mate? Monza's a very fast racetrack. You know, we've touched on quite a few times how crucial the draft can be. Your prep leading into tonight, were you confident about a decent result?
There hasn't been much prep, if I were to be honest, but yeah, I think there's a lot of strategy that goes on, which is good. It kind of suits my style. So I'll definitely be looking forward to using my fuel saving abilities and try and get up the field as much as I can. I reckon a top 10 result should be good. So yeah, we'll see how we go, and yeah, hopefully you boys have fun as well.
Appreciate it, Forzen. We'll let you get ready, get focused for the start of this race. Thanks for chatting with us on the Games from Good Walk, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of the night.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, boys.
Cheers, mate. There it is, Forzen El Nabi, starting 15th on the grid. Doesn't matter where you start in this racetrack, it's always going to be an absolute cracker of a race. I find myself, every time we get to the starting grid, very, very jealous that these guys are strapped in, ready to go. 48 laps around Monza. They're going to have their work cut out for them, but what an absolute cracker of a race this should turn out to be.
That it should, Sam, man. Apologies for me being a little absent there, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, some issues in the back end, just trying to help out there as well. So thanks to Sam for taking care of the games and grid work for us there tonight as we await the starters' orders here for this race. As you said, 48 laps. This is going to be a good one, and we look forward to seeing how it goes as Dylan Rudd with the place seat pole position in hand. He's waiting to get this one underway tonight in just a moment's time. And we'll see, can Dylan okay by Lobs Esports. They've got first, second, third, fifth, and ninth there on the road locked up, which hopefully will be what they can use to their advantage. And decisions coming in from race control. That spin for Ethan Griggolt has resulted in a 10-second time penalty for impeding Job Stewart, who was attempting to finish a qualifying lap there. And a rear of grid start for Zach Rattray-White for license points at the last round. I hear the revs rising in the background. And it's time for round 7 of Logitech Pro Invitational for 2024 to get underway. And it looks like it's going to be a dead heat between James Scott and Dylan Rudd on the run of turn 1. Jared feels so with the better launch, but he's got nowhere to go. Blocked up by his teammates. Griggolt defending from Gilliam there. About 3 rows back. It's into the first hairpin chicane will go. Let's see, can they get through neat and tidy on this opening lap?
Oh, great camera shot. You can see everyone trying their absolute best. 2 and 3 wide as they get through that chicane. Everyone knows that you can't win. Oh, just as I say that, there was a little bit of contact. Someone's run wide there as well. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of nose-to-tail contact, and you can see the damage to the front of that car as well. Not ideal on the opening lap. I was just about to credit them and say how clean they all got through there.
Now, unfortunately, win some, lose some kind of a situation, it seems, as they'll make their way up through the second chicane here, the Della Roggia, and prepare for the Lesmos. That's Marcelo Rivera getting out of shape. Maybe some contact with Luke Rosella there on the run to Lesmo 1. But they sort that one out and get back in single file. Wayne Burke fending off Brody Myers there as well. And then looking here, it's a little more orderly in the middle of the field, it seems, for the moment as they try and all get the power down through Lesmo number 2. And then head on to the Ascari at race pace. Now, we've seen all the games that were happening in qualifying. Now, with everyone committed to full attack, let's watch them here as they try and line up. And Phil Sell looking strong here on the opening lap, although Dylan Rudd too also breaking away to 0.6 of a second. There's a little bit of a breather as they approach the Parabolica for the first time.
Yeah, I think it's ideally a great start for those. These guys are just nose to tail. They don't need to do anything stupid and just stay in touch with each other. And I think the more that they can just stay single file, they might have a chance of just stretching in this little gap over the rest of the field. And that's what they want to do, is just try and break that train a little bit, and that'll help themselves, because you wouldn't be too worried if a teammate starts to get away from you, because you can always crack the radio and say, hey, when you drop back a little bit, give me a little bit of a tow. But at the moment, it's all about just getting a nice clean start and seeing how they go into the chicane for lap number 2.
File in front of the field. I see Josh Anderson just getting past Brenton Hobson on a timing tower. Further on back is definitely a bit more too wide action further on behind as they work their way through Peter Grande up front here at least, and waiting to see how it'll all unfold as we get to the Della Roggia once again. With no safety car on lap 1, the pit window will be open here at the end of lap 2, but, well, as we've been talking about the value of the draft Sandman, unless it's an entire team that's going to peel into the pits early, and also would be doing themselves a bit of a disservice on pit strategy by doing so, I'd expect don't be seeing too many cars down the lane here on this second lap.
Oh, a little bit of a move on here, but yeah, that's right. It's you know, as much as the opportunity there is available, it's a no-win situation. I think at this stage to pit, you know, we touched on how much fuel these teams need to get across the line, and being that it's only lap 2, what they want to do is just basically get themselves into a rhythm. That's the crucial bit. Stay in touch with everybody around you, and then just start to work to a game plan. These teams and drivers would have had some sort of idea of how this race is going to play out. It's never ideal as far as you know, there's things out of your hands as far as contact or penalties, but they now know they've got to get themselves in a rhythm and just stay in touch with everyone around them.
Yeah, that will be the critical measure of this race. As Phil actually pops out from the draft there a little bit of his teammate James Scott, but he gets back in line as they cross the start finish, and despite that little pop out from the toe, has got the fastest lap of the race so far on that 148.64 as they head on down once more towards turns 1 and 2. You can see here that it's fairly neat and tidy and organised here at the front there. Some side-by-side Blake War boys, I think Hayden Veld in the background of seen approaching first chicane. I think it might have been Kurt Stenberg possibly eyeing off the move as well in the background. I think he's gotten through, but Veld may have defended from War boys in that occasion. Matt Foley right on board with here in behind, looking to stick with his teammate there in Veld, just up the road. Sandman, going to go through Wall Boys first, though, to do so.
Yeah, all of these teams and drivers, they've got their work cut out for them, regardless of whether you're up the top front of the field or down the back. You know, it's tricky to pass around here. You're obviously going to rely on a little bit of a toe and, you know, you're hoping, I guess, that the driver in front of you just has a little bit of a wiggle or doesn't get the cleanest of exits because it's tricky to pass. I mean, I know a lot of these times drivers are actually just sort of sitting riding for the moment, but it's not the easiest of racetracks to get the job done. So, you know, if you find yourself a little bit further down the pack, you've really got to start thinking about it because as tricky as it is and as far back as you may be, those laps are going to tick away fairly quickly.
Yeah, they will. That will be one to watch out for in this opening phase. As being told, let's listen in for a bit of a lift here from Ethan Grigcolt, perhaps, as we ride on board with the number 7 Evolution Racing Team machine. Is building up the power. You can see here super long gear ratios in effect tonight as well. Of course, Sandman, they go pulling 60 at about 250 kilometres an hour. As we'll listen in here.
Yep.
Nice, solid roll off indeed. And no surprises there. If you can save fuel, you better believe his drivers are going to be taking every opportunity that they can to do so. Let's look here at Job Stewart making his way through turns 1 and 2. He might have had a crack at Freddie Myers, or might have been thinking. We're told he got the move done there on the run through the opening chicane there. So up to 13th for the driver. Yeah, recently joined Sim Racing along with Mike Taliancic after it's the unfortunate collapse and departure of the Altus Australia team from the Australian sim racing space, sim racing I guess in general. For now, Sandman, but going to SSR as they can bolster the ranks and have supportive drivers like Forzan Arnabi here on the screen among the others from the SSR roster.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a shame, but, you know, things like that happen throughout seasons and it brings different opportunities for different drivers to get into teams. And, you know, it's interesting, sometimes a change like that can be good for you as a driver when you go into a fresh space and you come up with some different ideas as far as maybe car setup or the way you go about your driving. You know, there's so much that can be learned when, you know, sometimes you can feel yourself a little, just one of the TCR cars getting sideways, getting that rear tyre off of the grass. But yeah, you can find yourself a little bit stale sometimes when you're within a group. So, you know, sometimes the change is as good as a holiday and, you know, could reap the rewards come the end of the year.
And the other thing that was, I've heard Scott Rankin in particular mentions, it's a big change for someone like Mike in particular. Not necessarily for Joe like to speak about his real life motorsport career, but someone like Mike has been the team manager for the longest time. He now needs to focus on driving and show us what he can do when that managerial part has been covered off. As speaking of SSR, eyes on Brenton Hobson. Those of you who were watching along with us at Road America last time out for round number 6 of this 2024 season of Logitech Pro Invitational, was the driver who made his way through the field to earn himself the OG Gear Hard Charger Award from round number 6. 32nd place start up to 17th. So certainly putting on the moves and keeping himself out of trouble there at top.
Awesome incentive there from OG Gear as far as that Hard Charger Award. You know, it's never great when you have to pass that many cars, but if you can do it and really, you know, reap some reward out of a bad night, that yeah, that's good. So well done and congratulations on that Hard Charger Award.
All right, looking just in and around Hobbo at the moment as well, I believe. Scott Campbell, 24th place on the road at this time. He's got Esports cars in front of him. I believe that's Jake O'Reilly. It is 222 in front. It's 707. Tom Freer in behind. As drivers who are making gains in this race so far, they are a little further on back here at the moment, such as Bobby Gibbs in this Evolution Racing Team number 2 machine. As he winds up through the Ascari chicane. Teammates Roller Hayden Bell in front. Trying to now have a go at the 033 of Damien Johnston. We'll see what they can manage as well. Further on towards back, look at the last 2 runners at the moment in the race. Tyson Broad and Brian Borg. Yep, that's close, but not quite the same. You can see there on the tower at the very bottom, Sandman. 20 seconds off the leaders for now. which is telling you we've got a driver every half a second or thereabouts on track.
Yeah, and it's not as ideal as their race is going at the moment. A long way to play out. You know, we haven't touched on much about as far as chance of a safety car, but never rule it out. You know, there's a bit of a move there up the inside. They're going to be side by side through the chicane. Oh, a little bit of give and take on exit. That was good. But Warboy's just trying to hang strong there. Now he's going to have the inside here for this turn, but he's going to be on the outside for the entrance of the chicane. Is he going to have enough here side by side with McNamara? Oh, and he just decides to get back in. Not happy about it. Flashing the lights though, just letting him know.
Yeah, indeed. 956 Sport team leader. Also definitely suffering from a couple of war wounds on the front of the 951. So we'll see how that plays out in the next little while. Let's check in again with Teo Sorono here from Chameleon Esports. Slight update to the paint scheme that would appear for this one tonight. There's an OG Gear replay going to come our way first, focusing on Sorono once again. Line 11 being told, watch out for a slowdown, which I think he caught on the first apex of the De La Rocha chicane there, Sam. Man, and indeed, has to step on the anchors. That's a good 3 spots lost, unfortunately.
Wow, that hurts. I mean, we haven't touched much on that too, but that's so easy to do, and it's almost like, you know, the penalty doesn't suit the crime, but unfortunately it's the same for everyone. And yeah, big stab of the brakes and lost a few positions there, but plenty of time to make it up.
Indeed. Josh Anderson trying to make up some positions in this race tonight. Currently sitting at their 19th place. Try and get a little further up the order. Maloney in behind for a moment. Thought about it, but we'll get back queued up. Navi potentially a bit of a bottleneck for them at this stage. They're just inside the top 10.
He's made up a position there too, so he's now into 23rd. So there are a couple of these drivers that are getting the job done. There's people out there just taking it easy as we go to the OG Gear replay. And it's going to be into the chicane, a dive in under brakes. Oh, you need someone to participate a little bit here. They don't want to close the door on you. Really smart move there. Really gave each other plenty of room, and now it's just head down, bum up, and get on with it.
That it is. So thankfully that didn't go anything otherwise. We look here at Marcelo Rivera leading with Rosella. Last car in 10, first car outside. As they enter the Scary chicane here. To watch to see which of these guys is faster at the moment. Can Rosella join his teammates from Lobs Esports? You can see them there. 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 at the front. And he'll look to the inside as we approach Parabolica here, and Rivera, nice and early in the race, he knows that's not that big of a deal. Let that one be done and push him along to close up the gap in the meantime.
Love the paint scheme too. Broken it up a little bit. Got the red, white and green on board that Lobs Esports car, and I think it looks the part. So nice to see a little bit of a paint scheme variation from his teammates.
Out there, rides in the middle of the road though with the big lift from Rivera, and just as we look up here at Andrew Gilliam, who lying there in 6th, as Rivera's able to defend the spots from Wayne Burke and Joe Stewart, but had to put Parker's the RT21 down the middle of the road, approaching the first chicane there to make that feasible, whilst also still maintaining a bit of fuel save in the process. Looks like Josh Anderson through on Fools and El Nabi as Jake Maloney would certainly like to go with. He'll force the issue up the inside of the De La Rocha, and he can just get that one pulled up there. And as a result, El Nabi's going to have to concede, you'd suggest. Finally.
Man, have a look at the scar. I mean, that's what he's battling there too. That scar on the right front, the right-hand front, that's not going to be ideal for him too. So that probably makes him a little bit of a sitting duck, which is why he was quite keen to get the job done, because, you know, you don't want to be stuck behind a car that might be a little bit aero-compromised. So that's going to make his night just that little bit trickier for him. It's not a race over thing, but it's just unfortunate that little bit of nose damage will cost him. That happened in that first chicane.
That it did indeed, and yeah, little dangers as you will, of the circuit here is Rosella on Dylan O'Shea, but O'Shea wasn't willing to give that one up just yet here on lap number 8. I hope he's not thinking it's a little early to start fighting like that, because they're not too careful. They could be vulnerable to losing the draft. For now, though, they should be safe, and as a result, Rosella will go straight back on the attack down the main straight here. Inside is his as we approach the first chicane. But O'Shea's going to run the middle of the row. It's going to be a little tighter than they'd like, and they'll bump a little bit on the brakes there, Sandman. But then it opens up as we get down there, and it closes up once again, of course, through the chicane itself.
Oh, no one ever wants to give them a position. Oh, no, a bit of contact. All of that there wasn't. They weren't quite clear on each other, and that could have been quite ugly. But that's now going to hold up Rosella a little bit. So he's under attack now. So you can see that O'Shea, he doesn't want to give up the position, but he knows that. I've got to see if he's going to try and make a dive. Couldn't quite see there. Oh, just as we're on board there, another position change. But he knows that he wants to team up with his teammates. So you never want to give up a position, but you know when someone's there, they're eyeing to get past you fairly quickly. So this battle is far from over, but man, they were lucky not to fire each other off into the fence.
Close indeed, but we keep going without too many more dramas. But it does mean all of that squabbling, gap up to 1.3 seconds. Just as I think it could happen, we're on lap 9 of 48. We are barely 1/6 race distance completed and entering the second sixth, if you want to break up the race that way at least. And there's already a gap in the train. Perhaps a little gap further on down, but still inside the top 10 for a gap. So these drivers here are just outside and now absolutely ruining what's happened in front of them. It's going to make their job just that whole bit harder.
That's why ideally Rosella would have loved to get that job done on O'Shea, because he knows his teammates are up there, and they, like you said, they're just slowly starting to open up that gap, and it's going to make his night just that little bit more difficult if he doesn't get the job done, because as soon as you start to lose touch, you can see those front runners, they're just happy to stay single file. They prefer to have quite a boring race in the opening stages, because they want to take as much pressure off themselves from behind as they can.
Down into the first chicane will go. It's Joe Stewart's turn to look at Rosella into the chicane. Doesn't get there though, but it shakes everyone up. But watch out to not make too much contact there, fellas. And I think they got through without too much fuss. They may have been side by side. Yeah, Blake Woolboys has just lost a spot. He's actually back and forth with Andre Youssef for 30th place, according to the timing tower updates there at the bottom of the screen, as we continue to focus on this one here. Final spot in the top 10, and now Dylan O'Shea's given her a reprieve from the pressure that Stewart puts on Rosella. And can O'Shea, at 1.3 seconds behind Madison Down, start catching up? Well, if the top 8 are all fuel saving, he'll be given his chance here in the next lap or two.
Catch 22 a little bit, isn't it? You know, when you know that teams around you are starting to fuel save, and you know, do you throw the dice and sort of use up what fuel you can to get to the back of the draft and then save? It's not always a guarantee, but and it's a fine art to save fuel and keep your pace up as well. That was something I never mastered, unfortunately, and that's probably a fairly good reason why I'm behind the microphone and not behind the steering wheel in this series. So a real art, but something that they need to think about as this race goes on, because every little leader counts.
100% they'll be looking to maximise fuel saving against his team. Even Adam Briggs here, 15th place. Not that big of a roll, but still modern, still reasonable little save there for him into the final corner here. And they put the power back down for the run to turn number 1. We'll actually stay here, I think, if we can, with Adam Briggs and watch to see what happens in terms of a roll into the first chicane. Get a red line just about 285. Actually holds on the red line for a while there. I did talk over the sound of the cars. I don't think I heard a fuel save on that occasion yesterday.
Yeah, if there wasn't much there at all, was there? So we go to the OG Gear, Original Gamer Gear replay as we go back and see Madison Down. He's on the tail end of this charge, so it looks like he's thinking about making a move. He'll dive up the inside and get the job done. So he was on the back there, and he knew it was crucial just to start. I guess you're obviously a lot happier to be in the middle of the draft than being at the tail end, because that chance of missing out on that stiff of the draft, that could be a bit of a game changer. So Madison Down picking off one more car in 7th position.
That he is indeed. So, rounding corners here once again. Already up through Lasmo's 1 and 2. For the drivers to the front, they're already well down through Ascari. Guys towards the back of the field, they're out and around Lasmo's 1 and 2 by comparison. And let's see who can make themselves a difference in this opening phase. Still 11 laps down. Haven't seen any pit stops towards the front of the field tonight. I don't think the pit stops period happened yet. Unfortunately, I can't confirm that for myself at this stage. As being told, update incoming here for Kurt Stenberg on the OG Gear replay. And it's not good news for fans of the 47.
Oh, it's into the chicane. Everything looks pretty good so far. Oh, I got tagged in the right rear. Oh, and now he'll have nose damage too. So, geez, that's unfortunate. And now the worst part is he's stuck in that chicane. He has to let everyone through. I believe there might be, well, I'm no steward, but there could be a penalty coming their way.
Yeah, word on the street, Sam, and there is apparently no one could ever get you into a steward's box. You'd much rather weigh the other side of the situation. But whilst we've been looking at Stenny's incident on the OG Gear replay, Madison Down has picked off Andrew Gilliam as well. So make that 2 drivers from the Motorsport organisation that the number 1 has cleared. As apparently Tyson Ward is going to be our first driver to take to the pits further on down the order. And indeed he is now just starting to take a first of his 2 compulsory pit stops on the end of lap 11.
It's going to be interesting when these teams decide to fire off into pit lane. Obviously, they're going to try and pit together and lose as little time as possible. So that'll be something playing on their minds. And we'll see a little bit more damage to that 951 car as well on that right front. So again, not ideal.
About to come through from race control on our screens. First in-race penalty has been decided. That OG Gear replay we saw being for Kurt Stenberg. Fairly open and shut case from the stewarding team. They have deemed that'll be Ian Ford at fault, and a 15-second time penalty about to come up for the 115. So not ideal for him. As we see pit stop time coming up for Tyson Ward, as he's actually, pardon me, he's actually been in the lane longer than 40 seconds. I count a minute 13. So big troubles for the 27 for Drop Motorsport. And in fact, he's now a lap down on the field. It was already a pretty bad place to be on your own. Now it's in a world of hurt.
Look at this front pack. We were talking about how it looked like the top 8 were probably getting away from the rest of the group, but now they've really tucked back up. I know we've talked about a couple of moves that Madison Downs made as he's gained a couple of spots, and maybe that's just been a little bit of a chain reaction where it's slowed the rest of the field, and now we've got quite the snake. And have a look at that. That's quite the aero train for this field, and that gap was starting to get a little bit noticeable, but now that brings everyone else back into the equation.
That it certainly does. In fact, slowdown penalty incoming, being told. Apologies, I actually something else. It was Tom Freer as follow-up on from race control there on your screens as well.